Nioh. So you're an Irish lad called William, simping for your favourite VTuber till Voldemort steals her and you follow him halfway across the world to cosplay as a cool ninja samurai.
Maybe I too could be ninja. I want to be ninja.
William then proceeds to insert himself into the land's politics and just generally stands around while they go to war against other clans and the spawn of Satan. He does this so much they even start telling his patty ass to sit out the fights as they do not concern him. Why are you here, you foreigner? But we don't care, we're chasing that Guna lifestyle. Does anyone see my VTuber? Where's my VTuber? Guys, I need to goon! Well, in Japan, we learned the ways of the ninja and samurai and just casually become the best at it. But yeah, of course, when I think Irish heritage, I think highly disciplined and agile. Kinda makes me feel like my pudgy English ass could do more than just sitting at home playing video games and eating Takis. By the way, this was a real person. This actually happened. Well, not this, I don't think. But yeah, William Adams, an actual dude. He looked pretty cool. But hey, at least there is loot. Like, so much goddamn loot. Look at all the loot! This game makes my brain give that good feelings and I don't understand what half this stuff means. Yay! Nioh casually getting me excited to do my taxes this year. Oh boy, numbers! In a land that is basically Foster's home for imaginary friends, like honestly everyone has these cool guardian Pokemon spirits that they just abuse in battle and we just casually steal them. Are we the good guy? Fight very creative bosses, bitch slap ninjas, get bitch slapped by ninjas. My god, Rio, I hate you so much. In one of the first games to do the whole, hey, is it cool if I copy your homework from Dark Souls? And actually did it well. We didn't get a lot of those between Dark Souls 1 and 2017. So what I'm getting at is, was Nioh really that good or just another Souls-like slop that, I mean, we just ate up because, oh boy, numbers? Let's take a look. Nioh was one of the first games to copy Miyazaki's masterpiece Dark Souls and give its own take on the genre. Again, there had been a few of these back when Dark Souls got popular, but a lot of them flopped quite heavily. Nioh was one of the first ones that actually put their own ideas in, and it actually worked out pretty well. It's kind of crazy, I'm a massive fan of the Souls-like genre, but something about Nioh just kind of turned me off right out the gate. They did a public test before launch, and it was just pretty much running through the first level and it just seemed too hard, too confusing. The loot system seemed a bit wild and the free tier combat mechanics, yeah, I noped out, didn't like it. And didn't touch the series until now for this video. And my god, that was a poor life decision on my part. This game is so goddamn good. I absolutely love it. But before you click off the video, because I pretty much answered the question in the title, there are glaring issues with the game, so you can keep watching to look for some bait to post haha L take in the comment section. Do it please, I need the engagement. Also subscribe, kiss kiss. Nioh didn't have a flawless development cycle. In fact, going way back to the start in 2004 when the idea was first penned by Omega Force, you know, the boys who, well, they're the definition of a one trick. You guys know what they were popular for. Yep, win back on the PlayStation 1. They were looking to make a game based off the unfinished screenplay by Akira Kurosawa, but development hell hit pretty hard and the game was cancelled and restarted about 3 times before my boys at Team Ninja said hold my beer and took over development in 2010. The team then worked hard and in 2016 dropped a public player test, which I played and didn't like. Players thought it was too confusing and difficult, even for the best Souls players. That's kind of impressive. Like I said, unfortunately this turned a lot of people off on the title, but the team did take all the feedback and work tirelessly to implement better tutorials, smoother controls, and quite a few difficulty tweaks that then did delay the game another year before launch. So that means Nioh had a 13-year development cycle. Jesus, that almost knocked the king off his throne with that one. But does a Soul game based on very slightly real-world events and insanely Diablo-esque loot mechanics work? Well, the gameplay to me definitely plays a massive part on that. William, our wee little leprechaun, can use several different weapons in Nioh. You have swords, spears, axes, kurasari gamas is the chain sickle weapon, dual swords, tonfas, and odachis. He can even do hand-to-hand combat. Where did this guy learn all this stuff? I'm so glad the Irish decide to just drink themselves to death rather than becoming a goddamn Terminator. What sets Nioh apart from other Souls games is the stances. Each weapon has 3 stances, low, mid, and high. Lowest being the faster pace but less damage style of fighting. And the higher up you go, the more damage you deal, but the slower the move pools are. These all also have their own talent trees that can be changed instantly in fights. It's honestly kind of ridiculous. And you need to do this when fighting certain enemies, as they can also change stances, so it becomes a bit of a rock, paper, scissors gameplay loop with human NPCs. Unless you're just me and low stance debuffs in every fight with dual swords. Yes, I'm cringe. Welcome to the channel. Your goal in most fights is to destroy the key gauge, essentially the stamina bar, and then ending with a finisher. This mechanic is pretty good, but you can absolutely break it with the dual swords. And I did just that. I thought this game was meant to be hard. Against the Yokai though, you still need to deplete their gauges, but they will spawn these fart clouds that if you don't dispel with a perfect button time, it will stop your stam regen. So it's a different style of fighting. They're also weaker to different elements. It's honestly impressive how much they have remixed the standard Souls-like mechanics. I know gamers today are getting fed up with the Souls game fatigue, but I feel like most of these games do bring something fresh and new ideas and perspectives to a genre that, I'm gonna be honest, I absolutely love. So yeah, I haven't really been feeling that fatigue. I kind of get excited when a new Souls-like gets announced. Just realized I covered the weapons but didn't talk about the most OP ones in the game, the bow and guns. Unlike most Souls games where, let's be honest, you just use these things to trigger aggro and split up enemy groups, in Nioh, these have a finite ammo pool for each stage and can pretty much be an insta-kill if you pull off a headshot, especially if the receiver is still in junior school. Seriously, don't sleep on these. You can carry 2 at a time and they really do help you out in sticky situations, or if you just want to cheese some boss fights, especially against human NPCs. The levels have a pretty standard linear design and can get a little samey to one another, but I will give props for the enemies. There are so many different human and Yokai. In Nioh 1, you really need to learn a lot of different move pools and fighting styles so you don't get freed from this mortal coil too often. Not all the levels are that samey though. The Warzone missions I really liked. I found these really impressive. They're like these actual huge NPC fighting grounds where you can get completely destroyed by firearms. See guys, it's fun. Or you get completely destroyed by arrow bombardments. See guys, it's fun. For me, they break the pace up a little bit, and I'm a big fan of them. I can't think of any other Souls games that did something like this before. You really feel like you're part of the assault in these fights, even though I am a foreigner and I should not be here. Why am I in this war? The biggest game changer for me is the loot system. This thing is like a full-time job trying to wrap your head around it. I finished the game and all the DLCs in about 64 hours, and I still don't think I understood the assignment when it came to building the perfect builds. Every weapon, every armor, and I'm not taking the piss, I mean every weapon and armor drops with near random stat buffs. And these are so specific that when finding the perfect build, it can take some time. Yeah, some stats can be just basic defense up or attack multipliers, pretty simple stuff, but some give buffs that are for specific weapons on specific enemies while having a certain guardian active while the moon is full, the temperature is at 34 degrees, and you're only playing the game with your goddamn feet while thinking about your first love. God damn it, Tiffany, why did you get with Dave? What was I talking about again? I guess what I'm saying is the game gets kind of wild. Yeah, I'd like to move our therapist session forward by about a week. Yeah, I got some shit to talk about. With the loot system, it feels like I need to bust out an Excel spreadsheet just to try and make sense of this system. And it's not a bad thing, ironically. Making your preferred build has so many different attributes, from the armor, the skill points, the guardians. Even just completing challenges will give you random buffs that you can pick at the end of the missions. All this stuff helps make the funny numbers go up when you're fighting, and I love it. Why do I love it? And the game just keeps going, throwing new ideas at you. About 30 hours in, you meet a guy that makes the game basically become a gacha. Now, to be fair, it's all in-game currency gambling, but it's kind of random, right? I thought the game was ending, and yet I got a brand new system on how to get my build. What? I want to deep dive into this, but that would honestly take hours. The loot and building mechanics are kind of ridiculous. There is so much right out of the gate, and every single time an item drops out of an enemy, and trust me, that happens a lot, you get pretty excited. What could it be? Can I use it? Does it have an attribute that I could soul bond with the current build I'm rocking to make me stronger? This is constant, and it makes replaying the game pretty nice too. That's why you play Nioh. The customization on your samurai ninja mage is next level. You can build anything. It's one of the few games where, honestly, there is a build for everyone, because you can literally build anything. And with the game being structured with a mission-based system, not open world like other Souls-like titles, when you get to a point when an enemy curb stomps you, it's probably because your build is not up to the challenge. So you have to go back, replay some missions, get some better loot, and basically make your next priority becoming a stronger warrior. Yeah, sometimes it feels like just grinding loot in games like Destiny, and for some reason that hits notes with my monkey brain. I did like doing that in Destiny 1. And actually, speaking of Destiny, in the DLC you basically get light levels for equipment, so yeah. But speaking of the missions, that's kind of where my first critique comes in. So most of the time you'll play a story mission of a new area, lasts around 30 minutes if you're exploring, ending with a tough as nails boss fight. And then once that's completed, you could move on to the next main mission, or a bunch of side missions will open up to help you grind up some loot and level up. These tend to just be a remixed version of that original level you just played. Sure, different enemies, different objectives, sometimes a new part of that map and time of day, I guess. But most of the time it is just going through the same area, and you're already doing that a lot when you replay missions to get better loot. So yeah, it can get a little bit repetitive. Saying that though, not all of them are just remixes, some are completely unique, but for me the remix levels were the ones that sort of wore off their welcome pretty quickly. Like, I've done 5 different missions in this village. How is it still on fire? Health recovery unfortunately takes inspiration from Bloodborne. Babe, I love you, but what was that healing mechanic? Your elixirs replenish to a set amount each time you visit a shrine. Standard stuff, but these are consumables that come out of your current storage. So yeah, you have to build up your stockpile with this. I hate this so goddamn much. Granted, they do drop from most enemies, you can be found in missions, but once you get stuck on a boss, you will run dry very quickly and have to leave the mission or just run around like an insane samurai killing everyone until you get a few elixirs dropped. I hate this mechanic so much. Now, of course, there are definitely stats in armors and weapons that you can get that will help you find these more often. You can also find these little green dudes that give a buff depending on the amount of them that you're found in a region. These can give you bonuses like extra Amrita, which can be used to level up. Armor and weapon drops increase for some of these little guys, but the one you should always be using, especially in your first run if you're grinding to the end game, is elixir drop rate. This will be your bread and butter and will help you get a decent stockpile going. It's almost kind of mandatory to have this early on in the game. So if you see these little guys, make sure you show them the way to the shrine. But trust me, you will still run out of these. It will still be a problem later on, meaning you will probably need to do runs on old missions to farm these, which again has you replaying the same levels. Boss fights though are absolutely solid. I cannot deny that. My first wall was the first boss, ironically. It took me a while to get to grips with fighting this big ass guy in such a small arena. But luckily my camp counselor said I was a pro at taking balls to the face. I've After that, I found it pretty smooth sailing. I started to learn the mechanics a lot better. And yeah, the boss fights are pretty interesting with the Yaokai. They're definitely more creative, but relatively, they can be done pretty easily. Not including the DLC bosses. That is, that's a different story entirely, Jesus Christ. Human fights are a little bit less extreme, but some of the best 1v1 fights in the game are these. Personal favorite is a boss fight with Akatsu. She is super agile. I mean, she is a cool ninja. And it just gave me this Ninja Gaiden levels of pace and gameplay, which I definitely fuck with. You can tell that Team Ninja made this game. There are also optional bosses that you can do in side missions. These are difficult for just the sake of being difficult. You guys heard of Oracine and Smo? Because Nioh sure fucking has. There are so many 2v1 fights in these missions, and they are so bad. I thought there was honor with samurais. Why are they ganging up on me? These come across insanely unfair right out the gate. And if I'm honest, it kind of required a lot of kind of cheap tactics on my part to win. I should feel bad, but I mean, it's 2v1. I'm fighting for my life here, boys. I'm draining all my elixirs. Another cool mechanic in Nioh is the dead players. I was quite surprised the game still has a pretty decent player base. You can see a lot of places where, you know, people suck at this game. But I mean, every Souls-like tends to do this. The cool thing about Nioh is you can actually fight revenants for a chance to get some items of that player's build. I find this so cool. You walk up, you give a little tap, and then you fight their build. The fights can be tough, but you can cheese these very easily with the dual swords. But taking them out nets you a chance at some pretty OP gear. It's such a good idea, and you also get honor points for the clan battle system, which unlocks in Act 3, 30 hours into the game. This is an online mechanic, which is a weekly tug-of-war between two groups of clans, and the winner with the most honor gets some incredible gear at the end of the week. Again, picking a clan also has passives for your build because it's Nioh, of course it does. I can't have a bathroom break without it having a severe impact on my current build. I'll be honest, I didn't dive too much into this. I did kind of want to get the transformations that just change William into a more cultural fitting character, but this stuff is expensive, and especially if you want a goon. Jesus Christ. The game knows its player base and it hates us. I just wanted to play as the barefooted Akatsu, not remortgage my house. These are purely cosmetic and your armor isn't visible, but they do add a little something for players to grind for. But be warned, if you want to see Booba and Wagner, it's gonna cost you more than just your dignity. I done about one mission once I spent all my money on Akatsu. Yeah, it's cool. They have little sound effects and stuff, but I prefer my funny night helm. In cutscenes, this thing gives me so much joy. I love how everyone in Japan has to take William so seriously with this on. I'm gonna be honest, I found it quite fun coming to an area where a bunch of players did not get good and completely got destroyed by the game. And then proceeding to clear that area, and just to massage my ego further, I would defeat each and every revenant there. This made me feel way better at the game than I actually was. And it really does help with the loot system. I mean, why spend all that time farming, grinding, and mix matching different status buffs when you can just steal it from other players who have already done that? That's more my play style. But why are we harvesting all these Yaokai for the sweet goodies inside? And why are we just in the middle of a Shogun war? Well, for that we have to look at the story, and like I said, it is very loosely based on real world events, so I mean, it could be pretty interesting. Let's take a look. So you play as William Adams, based on the guy of the same name, IRL. This dapper chap sailed with the Dutch and eventually got shipwrecked in Japan. While there, he learned the way of the samurai and somehow became the advisor to Shogun Tokugawa with the nickname of Anjin, which everyone calls William in the game this too. Translates to navigator. Don't know why, both these two guys shipwrecked, pretty terrible navigators if you ask me. Maybe they just thought that's how the West does it. The real William Adams eventually started trade between Japan and the West, and though did take a liking to samurai, he wasn't like good at it. He was alright. I feel like he got the title just as kind of like a look at this funny Englishman. Let's make him a samurai, why not? In the game, William is Irish, which I don't think the real guy was, but cool. Maybe they just like the accent. His story starts with him as a kid and a random guardian just appears before him, giving him the ability to resurrect every time he dies. Oh, and he can also see spirits now. In this universe, prayer actually does something. People who pray to spirits can actually make them take a physical form and become part of the world. This is why everyone has their own Pokemon. William grows up, he chills with his guardian, and then becomes a pirate working for Queen Elizabeth. Something happens and he gets thrown into jail. We then get a literal beat for beat intro stolen straight from Dark Souls. Like, side by side, they knew what they were doing. We escape our jail cell, but our guardian gets kidnapped by Edward Kelly, the Voldemort looking guy. He dips to Japan to steal the Amrita over there to fuel Queen Elizabeth's rule and keep the war in Japan stoked. Generally, a bad guy. William won his favorite VTuber Bag, ventures after him. He then jumps on a ship and then heads off to Japan. In Japan, William realizes things are a little bit spookier than he's used to. After the first level, William meets Hanzo, a ninja who thankfully knows English. He gives us a cat that turns into another cat. And thanks to this spirit, we are now able to speak Japanese. So whenever we hear William speaking very bored out of his mind English, like generally William has no character other than stern. But when he's talking to everyone in English, he's actually speaking Japanese. That's why everyone can understand him, and when they speak Japanese back to him, he can understand it because of cool, funny, fluffy cat. Pretty simple, not a big deal. The cat does die in the game, and we can still speak Japanese, so I don't know what's going on there, but whatever. It's here where we take on the role as a interfering illegal immigrant. There's a war going on, and both sides are trying to seek a world with peace and no war, by literally doing the polar opposite and killing as many people as possible. Politics. We help out with a side we assume is the good side throughout the story, but Williams doesn't really care about what's going on. All he wants to do is find Kelly and get his smoking hot Twitch streamer VTuber back. Now, there is a little something between William and Akatsu, like a little love story, kind of. It doesn't go anywhere, and it's just this one moment here where they nearly kiss, but he smells like ass, so they don't. Sure, after this, she's just not in the story anymore, really, so whatever. I guess William just has a thing for redheads. We do meet a few actual historical figures as we go through the journey, and we get a bit of a backstory when we meet their spirit guardian in these cool little, like, stylistic cutscenes. This is pretty interesting, but most of the time the characters we meet veto the game after we beat them, so we get their story and then we just move on. It's cool to have it, but I'm gonna be honest, I kind of stopped caring, just kind of got excited for what the new guardian spirit was gonna give me stat-wise. The true story is just playing cat and mouse with Kelly. Every time we get close to him, we have a fight and he just dips. And this happens 5 times. Kelly probably does say something interesting in these meetups, but the sound mixing is so goddamn bad, I can barely hear him. Kelly, I can't hear you. Yeah, I don't think he can hear me. Kelly is looking to collect Amrita. I've probably said Amrita and Amrita. I don't know which one's right, so I'm sorry in advance if I've triggered someone. Tell me in the comment section, engagement plus. But he's looking for that stuff and trying to earworm all the leaders in Japan to get them to give in to his powers so he can resurrect, honestly, the most boring boss fights in the game. The look how big this guy is boss fights are super boring. They're very one note. Didn't really get much out of them. Eventually, we end up at a big shogun castle for the final fight. Partied up with Hanzo and Akatsu, who quickly dip before a boss rush. Thanks, guys. Very helpful. You blast through the boss rush and then catch up to Kelly, who manages to resurrect the most fearsome lord to ever bring Japan to its knees. This has been getting bigged up by Kelly all game. This guy we should be worried about. He is a bad guy and insanely powerful. Kelly pulls off the mercy res on this guy and thinks he has won the entire game. We get a boss fight with him where we don't actually defeat him. We get him to about half health, then he cutscene beats us up, and before he takes us out, he nopes out the game, calling Kelly a little bitch on the way out. It's kind of underwhelming.
Yes, kill him! What are you waiting for?
この信長を利用しようとは見くびられたものよ。
久しぶりに面白い余興であったぞ。この信長の野望、道半ばであったが未練なぞな。
What the fuck just happened? I'll give it to the guy. His aura is insane, but nah, he's just gone. What the fuck? I didn't even actually get to fight him properly. Not saying that you do get a side mission where we can actually defeat him properly, but it's a 2v1, so fuck that shit. I did still do it though. Just, I was a little bit cheap. Anyway, with Kelly's main endgame plan noping out, like again, I need to stress this out. This was his whole plan, was to just steal Amrita and then summon this guy. He's done both, but one of them dipped. Kelly, feeling a little bit butthurt about all this, uses all of his power to summon a giant multi-headed dragon. Oh boy, it's another dumb boss fight. You have to fight one head, then two, and then the roof opens up, and then, oh my god, I gotta fight 5 of these, and all they do is spam magic. This is a fun time. This is a good boss fight. It took me a few deaths until I realized that once you kill one, you get its element on your weapon, and you need to use that on the next head that has a weakness to that element. Pretty simple and kind of cool, I guess, but I don't know. It means you have to know the elemental system pretty well, but I found it as a pretty dull fight. To end the game on, meh. Kelly cries and comes on the floor and tells William that it's already too late. All the Amrita has been sent back to England, but who cares? We got our VTuber back. I really don't care who's got the stuff back in England, really. So we did it. We achieved our goal. We got our guardian spirit, but oh my god, she is shit. This is a terrible guardian. Screw this. I'm going back to my funny haha debuff peacock guardian. Just spamming fire on everyone. William pieces out in Japan and heads right back to England to face off with the guy in charge, the 100 Eyes guy. Before that, we find out that Edward Kelly was actually a clone. Cool. Does that go anywhere? No? Okay, brilliant. Doesn't matter. It's so out of left field, and literally other than fighting a couple of clones of Kelly, it does not go anywhere. That's it. It's okay. It's an epilogue mission back in the first level we played in, so I guess I can't be too angry, but it does seem a bit weird, right? But yeah, we face off against the 100 Eyes, and gotta be honest, buddy, you seem to be missing 99 there.
How disappointing.
Oh, my bad. Again, just like every other enemy in this game, fire weapons with a dual sword just destroys him. With him defeated, we don't really have an objective now. We ponder his funny orb and we find out that the battle in Japan isn't done. So William makes the rational decision to set off to Japan again for the 3rd time. This journey takes several years to do. Honestly, by the end of the series, William is going to be an old age pensioner. And that's it for Nioh base game, but oh, we ain't done yet, son. You see that little flash forward we had when we pondered the orb? That was teaser for DLC that dropped in 3 installments about 3 months apart from the launch. I'm going to take a sec here to kind of praise that. That's kind of wild nowadays, getting that much DLC content that close to launch, that consistently in time frame. Man, it took us like 2 years to get Elden Ring DLC. But another issue I have with Nioh is, well, so New Game Plus works a little bit differently in this game. After you beat the base game before the DLC came out, you can go back and play the same missions on a harder difficulty. Yes, you have to spend 40 hours before you can actually unlock difficulty sliders. The first difficulty is the Way of the Samurai, which is what everyone plays through on their first playthrough. But each New Game Plus increases in difficulty and remixes some of the enemy placements in the missions, as well as giving you better loot. It goes Way of the Samurai, Way of the Strong, Way of the Demon, Way of the Wise, and then lastly, Way of the Nioh. This is how you build and get the best gear possible through divine items. You have to farm these and you'll be changing up their buffs in the Reforged system quite a lot. You're basically just trying to build your perfect set, while also increasing their light level, or divine level, sorry, through soul matching by using equipment you find that is a higher or the same level to buff it up. I think one divine level is about 10 in-game levels because the base game stops at 150. You see what I mean? There's a lot of numbers in Nioh. It's kind of hard to get your brain wrapped around them. But anyway, that wouldn't be an issue, but the DLC definitely takes into account that you've probably been playing New Game Plus. I went straight from base game to the DLC and I got my ass chewed out. This boss, I think I died, other than the final boss in the DLC, I think I died to this boss the most. The first boss in the DLC. I was not prepared. It was a little annoying going back and doing New Game Plus to farm better gear before I could just continue the story in the DLC. It took me about 2 hours to level up and get to a point where I felt comfortable trying the DLC again. But yeah, just be warned, if you're jumping straight in, you might have some issues. Maybe you build better. Maybe you're just a better gamer than me. I had to grind a little bit. So the DLCs are basically, hey look, another foreigner comes to the land trying to get everyone hooked on Amrita like it's the new cool drug. But this time it's a sexy Spanish lass. The DLC has a much bigger emphasis on samurai fights, and I'm all for it. The best fights in base game were against human NPCs, but man, I cheesed them. You know me. Fighting Maria was a pretty tough fight till I realized, oh, when she does her transformation attack where she becomes a bit more of a threat, I could just shoot her in the head with an arrow and this will just negate her power up. You can do this in every human NPC fight. Oh, dude's using his guardian to become a bigger threat and probably kill me in 2 hits. I'll just shoot him in the head. Yeah. If you generally get stuck with these fights, there's always a way to do it. Though the ninja fights, fuck! The ninja fights are so rough. They're just too quick. And they have these combo moves that just seem to just kill you all the time. And they love to throw debuffs at you. Is this what I've been doing to people? This sucks. There's one which stops you from using any items in your inventory. They can make you smelly. So when you use a health item, you throw up and it gives them a massive opening to take you out. This sucks. The final mission in the DLC is quite the spectacle actually. The level just keeps going. You fight several bosses throughout this last mission. You get a mid-level cutscene which makes you think you've done the DLC or at least completed the level, but nope. It then leads to another section and a hard as balls final fight against the Nine-Tailed Beast. I'd say it probably takes about an hour and 10 to do this mission from start to finish, like up until the final fight. The issue with that is I started to sweat a little bit with my elixirs. My stockpile started running really low because I could not beat the final boss. It's a tough challenge. But if I need to go restock, I'm gonna have to exit the mission and then I have to do the whole thing all over again. And that's the same if you feel like you need to go grind up some levels or gear. It kind of made me not want to leave because that's a big time sink. I must have died like 10, 15 times to this boss. I was getting very aggravated. I decided to go full cheese mode, transform into my final form and use poison. I'm so sorry, any Nioh players watching this. I feel like you guys look down on poison users so bad. But man, this girl has way too many one-hit kills. And even though you do get an NPC to help you out, he gets knocked down like every other hit. He's kind of more of a liability than a safety blanket. So I thought it was fair to just rot her out. Sounds dirty. But with her defeated, the land is now at peace again until someone else decides they want to make the peace more peacier and starts a war. But that's the end of Nioh. Now there is a roguelite-esque game mode that released a bit after called The Abyss. This is a massive challenge where you go down different floors in the Abyss to farm gear. You could sink hundreds of hours in this. It's pretty interesting they just released this as free DLC. I tried it a few times, done a few runs. It's pretty difficult. You get an insane amount of debuffs. Like, it is really challenging. I can't stress that enough. I done a few and then I was out. It's kind of wild how much I love this game, and considering how cheap it is to buy now, the bang for your buck with Nioh is ridiculous. I got Nioh online for PC for a $5 and got 60 plus hours out of it and a really good time. If you guys are Steam users, link in the description if you want to get a cheap copy. Nioh is a fantastic Souls-like, probably one of my favorites in the genre, full stop now. It doesn't babysit the player. You have to really get good to really break into the game. And that to me is what a Souls game should be. Something that you work towards, feeling accomplished after you beat each and every wall that hinders you. It's so good. I loved it, and I'm so disappointed that I did not give it a fair shot after that player test in 2016. With that said, I hear people praise Nioh 2 way more than the first game, so I'm excited to try that soon. And Nioh 3 is set for a 2026 launch, so that's definitely on my radar now too. Let me know in the comments your thoughts on Nioh. Is this just a classic Thai L take, or am I right? Is this a goated Souls-like? Do you prefer Nioh 2 to Nioh 1? I'd like to know. I'm pretty active in the comment section for the few days after a video's drop, so yeah, it'd be cool to talk to you guys. As always, I want to give a major shout out to the guys and gals that support me over on Patreon. If you would also like to get a shout out at the end of every single video, hit the link on screen and sign up to the Patreon today. Thank you, Bitstab, Ali Tato, Chris Spicer, and the Critical Quacker. You guys are the samurai that keeps this channel fueled on loot. Thank you so much. Also, if you want to watch the other Souls-like games that I've covered on the channel, I've recently made a playlist with them all together, so click the link on the screen and binge the crap out of them, please. I will love you forever. But with that done, I guess I'll see you in the next video. As always, stay safe out there and stay fashionable, gents. Thai out. Peace.